Robert S. Mueller III served as the 6th director of the FBI. Nominated by President George W. Bush, he was sworn in as director on September 4th, 2001, just 1 week before 9/11. His 10-year term as director was extended for an additional 2 years at the request of President Barack Obama and pursuant to legislation enacted by the U.S. Congress. After receiving his undergraduate degree at Princeton University and his master's degree in international relations from New York University, Mr. Mueller joined the U.S. Marine Corps. He served as a Marine officer for 3 years. After attending Army Ranger and jump schools, he led a rifle platoon of the 3rd Marine Division in Vietnam for 1 year. For his service, he received the Bronze Star, 2 Navy Commendation Medals, the Purple Heart, and the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry. Following his career in the Marine Corps, Mr. Mueller went on to earn his law degree from the University of Virginia Law School. Mr. Mueller served as a litigator, Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division, U.S. Attorney, and Acting Deputy Attorney General for the Department of Justice. He is also my grandfather, who I fondly call Bubba. And he has been a constant role model and source of support and encouragement. When my grandfather came to visit, when I was in the 3rd grade, I brought out my new recorder to show him how I had learned to play hot cross buns. He responded to my performance with a simple question: "Do you know how to play the Marine Corps hymn?" Baffled, I replied no, and he said, "Well, you better learn it." While I have not yet learned the Marine Corps hymn on the recorder, I have learned many other lessons from my grandfather, including compassion and caring for others, integrity, and hard work. Above all, he has taught me the true meaning of humility. And just to illustrate that, I have honestly learned more about his life successes from this brief bio than from anything he's told me directly about his own accomplishments. I'm excited to share this special day with someone who has played such a big part in my life, and it is now my pleasure to introduce my grandfather, Robert S. Mueller III.
Well, oddly enough, that's one of the best introductions I have ever had. And thank you, Campbell. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, John, for having me. Trustees, faculty, graduates, and their families, I am indeed honored to be here with you today. And graduates, you made it. And to get to this point is a great achievement, and I congratulate you. But we also must acknowledge that you did not get here on your own. As John has pointed out, your families have been a deep and abiding resource to you. And so I want to welcome all the families and friends that are here today, and thank you for your sacrifices and for everything you've done to make this day possible. Now, as graduates, you have hopes and dreams, and as parents, we too have hopes and dreams, and we hope your dreams are guided by the lessons you learned at Tabor. Lessons that inspire a lifelong love of learning, instill a passion for the highest standards of achievement, encourage personal responsibility, and foster care for others. As I reflect upon my career, I can say that I never could have anticipated where I have ended up. And I consider myself most fortunate to have been given a number of opportunities over the years, both professionally and personally. I must say I've been blessed by 3 families. My family, my wife, my children, grandchildren, husbands, my Marine Corps family, and for the last 12 years, my FBI family. And from each of these families, I have learned a number of life's lessons. One such lesson is that much of what you do impacts those around you and in turn those around you shape your life in a number of ways. Such lessons can often be frustrating as well as uplifting. And Lord knows I myself have had plenty of opportunities to grow within these three families. And today I want to touch on several such lessons learned through these relationships. And these lessons relate to service, integrity, patience, and humility. And perhaps my experiences, and in some cases my mistakes, will strike a chord with you. Let me turn first to the importance of public service, or service over self. I can say that I did not really choose public service, rather I more or less fell into it early on, perhaps not fully appreciating the challenges from such service. While at Princeton, I had one of the finest role models I could ever have asked for in an upperclassman by the name of David Hackett. I played lacrosse with David in the spring of '65. He was not necessarily the best on the field, but he was a determined and a natural leader. And he graduated later that spring and joined the Marine Corps. And David was a leader and a role model on the fields of Princeton. He also was a leader and a role model on the fields of battle. And a year later, after David had been in the Marine Corps, and as we were graduating, we faced the decision of how to respond to the war in Vietnam. And a number of Dave's friends and teammates joined the Marine Corps because of him, as did I. David, in the meantime, volunteered for a second tour in Vietnam, but did not survive as he lost his life to a sniper's bullet. And so I do consider myself fortunate to have survived that tour in Vietnam. There were many men such as David Hackett who did not, and I learned a number of valuable lessons from that tour. And perhaps because of that, having survived, I've always felt compelled to try to give back in some way, and I have been lucky to spend the better part of my professional life in public service and to benefit from the intangible rewards that come from such service. And the lessons I learned as a Marine have stayed with me for more than 40 years, the value of teamwork, sacrifice, discipline, life lessons I could not have learned in quite the same way elsewhere. And since its earliest days, Tabor Academy has emphasized service over self. Your founder, Elizabeth Tabor, determined to make her life count for something good. She returned to Marion to begin a decades-long transformation of the place of her birth. She dedicated her time to building parks, a library, a music hall, and lastly, Tabor Academy, giving each of you and your families the opportunity to become part of the Tabor community. Indeed, you'll find the way which you choose to serve is not that important, only that you work to better your country and your community. And each of you must determine in what way you can best serve others, a way that will leave you believing that your time has been time well spent. Moving to second lesson, integrity. When given the opportunity to address students, I always mention integrity because it is so essential to who and what you ultimately will become. Many of you may have a career path in mind. Many of you have no idea where you will end up. A few of you may be surprised by where life takes you. I certainly was. And in the end, it is not only what we do, but how we do it. Whatever we do, we must act with honesty and with integrity. And regardless of your chosen career, you're only as good as your word. You can be smart, aggressive, articulate, indeed persuasive, but if you are not honest, your reputation will suffer, and once lost, a good reputation can never, ever be regained. As the saying goes, if you have integrity, nothing else matters, and if you do not have integrity, nothing else matters. The FBI's motto is fidelity, bravery, and integrity. And for the men and women of the FBI, uncompromising integrity, both personal and institutional, is the core value. And that same integrity is a hallmark of this institution. As a Tabor graduate, you possess the passion for the highest standards of achievement and personal integrity. Your academic career and your personal success will be anchored on that same precept. And there will come a time when you will be tested. You may find yourself standing alone against those you thought were trusted colleagues. You may stand to lose what you have worked for, and the decision will not be an easy call. But surely Tabor Academy has prepared you for just such a test, as embodied in Tabor's adage, truth always conquers. As graduates, you are charged with upholding this legacy of honesty and integrity. And today you become the standard bearers. Turning to lessons on patience, Boston-born writer Barbara Johnson once defined patience as the ability to idle your motor when you feel like stripping your gears. And for those of us who are not inherently patient, including myself, it is an acquired skill, and believe me, it is hard-earned, and people will say that I am still learning. And patience includes, at its essence, the ability to listen, really listen to others, and especially listen to those close to you. And this is not always easy, particularly for someone such as myself. In one of my first positions with the Department of Justice many years ago, I found myself head of the criminal division here in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston. And I came to the realization early on that lawyers would come to my office for one of two reasons: either to be seen or seen on the one hand, or to obtain a decision on some aspect of work on the other hand. I quickly fell into the habit of asking one question whenever anyone came to the door, and that question was, what is the issue? And if there was an issue, we handled it and made a decision. If not, we moved on. A word of caution: this question, what is the issue, is not necessarily conducive to your married life. One evening I came home to my wife Ann, who had had a very long day teaching, then spending time with our two young daughters, and she began to describe her day to me. After just a few moments, I interrupted and rather authoritatively asked, "Darling, what is the issue?" She claims I did not say darling. But her response, as I should have anticipated, was immediate. She was incensed. "I am your wife," she said. "I am not one of your attorneys. Do not ever ask me what is the issue. You will sit there and you will listen until I am finished." And she always gets the hand. That night I had the opportunity to learn the importance of listening to those around you, truly listening, before making a judgment, before taking action. And I also learned to use that question sparingly and never, ever again with Ann. And lastly, humility. There are those who are naturally humble, but for others, humility may come from life experience. It is the result of facing challenges, making mistakes, and overcoming obstacles. A good friend of mine, Lee Rawls, was naturally humble. He was always the smartest person in the room and the last one who would ever tout it. Lee and I were college classmates, and we served together at the Justice Department. And when I became director of the FBI, I asked him to join me as a close advisor, chief of staff, and remarkably, he agreed. Lee knew how to cut through the nonsense and get to the heart of the matter better than anyone else. And he also knew how to put me in my appropriate place. During one particularly heated meeting, everyone was frustrated, mostly with me, and I myself may well have been a wee bit impatient and ill-tempered. And Lee sat silently, then interrupted and posed the following question out of the blue: what is the difference between the director of the FBI and a 4-year-old child? And the room grew hushed, and finally he said, height. That's the only difference between the two. Cleverly pointing out to my embarrassment that the director of the FBI was acting just like a 4-year-old child and perhaps should start acting like an adult. And on those days when we were under attack by the news media and being hammered by Congress, I would walk down to Lee's office hoping for a sympathetic ear and ask him, "How are we doing?" And Lee would shake his head and said, "You're toast, you're dead meat, your history, all the support you would want." And then he would continue by saying, "Don't take yourself too seriously because no one else around here does." And it was an innate sense of humility, the idea that the world does not revolve around you, that was central to Lee's character. He never sought to elevate his own status. To the contrary, he sought to elevate those around him, the hallmark of the truly humble. And I encourage each of you to surround yourselves with mentors over the coming years, individuals who will make you smarter and better, those who will recognize your potential and challenge you in new ways, and one day, wittingly or unwittingly, you will serve as a mentor to someone in your life. Service, integrity, patience, and humility. The lessons I speak of today are lessons not only for you, but for all of us. We must all find ways to contribute to something larger than ourselves. We must cultivate patience each and every day. We must maintain a sense of humility, and most importantly, we must never, ever sacrifice our integrity. And if we do each of these things, we will have the best opportunity to be successful personally, academically, and professionally, and our time will indeed have been time well spent. As a Tabor Academy graduate, your school by the sea has prepared you with the characteristics life requires: thoughtful preparation for and awareness of the wider world, perseverance, courage, good humor, a sense of direction, and a sense of humility. Thank you for having me here to celebrate with you today. To the class of 2017, ala tato, congratulations and God bless.